Minimalism and Stoicism go hand in hand, and one of the biggest tenets of Stoicism is mastery of your emotions and your just overall emotional state on a day-to-day basis. This doesn't mean becoming a robot or an ice queen and never having emotions, because on the contrary, it would be very easy to control your emotional state if you didn't have any, but rather it's having really strong emotions and being able to sit through the storms of those emotions without distraction or running away from them, and being able to transcend them and come to the other side in a strong place and essentially without any coping mechanisms. I used to, in the past, have very poor emotional control and would get really swept away in very strong feelings that carried me out into bouts of horrible depression or anxiety or overwhelm or just temper tantrums of anger, or you name it. I spun out with it, and I am a deeply feeling person and still have all of these emotions, but I have a much better toolkit now to be able to work through them on my own and not rely on outside distractions to sort of try to run away from them, because I'm sure you've all realized by now that trying to run away from your emotions will only come back and bite you in the butt harder in the long run. So here is my sort of Stoic toolkit to get through emotions. And I have to say that if you are looking to have a quick fix, this will not be that. These have taken me sort of years to develop, and of course I'm never perfect like anything. It's a practice. But if you start implementing them now, things that start out and seem very difficult or impossible may transcend to a place where they're a lot easier. So what is the first thing that I do? Number one, it is distraction-free living. What does this mean? I have a list of things that I don't do. I don't go shopping online or out in the stores on a daily basis ever. I really only buy something if I really need it. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know this, because I'm an ultra minimalist. And to me, this does not feel like deprivation. It's actually a life of clarity and abundance, because I really only have what I need. And I'm not looking and seeking to the outside world to fill some sort of void with shopping on, even if it's a good deal or something, that's cool on Pinterest, or just going to the shops to look for something to think, oh, this might be cool, I might need it. I never do that anymore. Number two, I don't own a TV. I don't watch television ever. I don't watch anything through any sort of streaming app on a computer. One, I don't have a computer, or anything on my phone. I want my own life to be interesting, so I don't want to watch other pretend lives. I know there's great art out there, but for me, watching television is just simply a distraction. I rarely watch movies. I really only read books if I know that it's going to be something that's very compelling and interesting and possibly life augmenting in a positive way. So if a book comes into my sort of sphere of awareness and I know I really want to read it, then I will, but otherwise I'm not just constantly looking for books to read. I don't read magazines at all. As far as social media, I have this YouTube channel and I watch maybe 1 to 5 YouTube videos per week, or sometimes none at all. I'll try to have fasts, if you will, of maybe sometimes even a month of where I haven't consumed anything on YouTube at all. And then I have no other social media channels whatsoever, or my own profiles that I look at. I do not have Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or Twitter or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever the hell else is out there. I have not had any of that in my life for years now, and it has had extreme positive effects. I also don't have any phone games, no computer games, because I don't have a computer, and I don't have any recreational substances in my life. So no marijuana, no alcohol, and I don't take any prescription drugs either. I don't drink coffee, and I do very little socializing. I know that may seem sad to some people. I'm sort of what you would classify as an extroverted introvert. I've spent my life and my career around people. I was a performing artist. I was a coach and choreographer, and I work in a restaurant now. So I deal with hundreds of people for a living. I'm on stage in front of hundreds of people for a living. And I've loved that, but on my off time, to balance that out, I need immense solitude. And this means socializing is at a very small minimum in my life. This again does not feel like deprivation. It's just the balance that I need. And it's really hard to sort through your emotions if you are constantly around people. That doesn't mean people aren't a good support system. It's wonderful to have good friends. I'm blessed to have some very good friends. But in my own experience of sort of delving into working through your emotions, it's kind of it's like the dark night of the soul or the hero's journey. It's something that, as much as you have people in your life that love you, it's work that you have to do on your own. It's something we all have to do on our own, and that can really only happen in alone time. And for me, in general, even though I have some really deep, wonderful connections with some beautiful friends in my life, I've also found that sort of just day-to-day socializing of going to a bar or, going for game night or whatever, I found that the mastery of the self, if you will, delving into mastering your own body and mind and emotions is sort of the most interesting thing to me. And so that's why I spend a lot of time in introspection by myself, not sort of like brooding in loneliness, but more exploring who I am as a human and how I can be the best human I can in my time here on earth, so that when I am around people, I have something of value to sort of offer, if you will. Not saying that you being of yourself is you're not inherently of value, but that just feels like my path to sort of, I want to help myself as much as I can so that I can help other people. So that's number one, distraction-free living. Number two, breathing exercises. When really, really strong emotions come up and I don't have the TV or the friend group or the TikTok feed or the magazine or the movie to distract me, and that pain of emotion starts coming up, whether it's overwhelm or anxiety or really deep sadness or whatever, taking a breath. It seems like such a simple thing. And for me, having spent most of my life as a synchronized swimmer where I actually held my breath for a living, I found that when I first started coming into breathing exercises, how much of my time I was actually literally not breathing throughout the day, which is not good. We all need oxygen, but breathing is actually a really incredible way to release stored energy in the body, which is held in these emotional states. We all have trauma in our life, and when it's repeated trauma or these stresses, or you hear the term microaggressions, they sort of just build up energetically in your body and can start causing you a lot of pain and suffering. And in my own belief, those stored energy can even cause disease. But when you take a breath and just sort of slow down, the more you do it, you'll actually start to feel like physical release. Like, of course, the oxygen getting in your bloodstream feels good, but you can sort of feel into your body where you hold tension. For me, it's in my sort of back of my neck, top of my shoulders, trapezius areas. I am just hunched there with anxiety or tension a lot, and used to be very, very strongly held there over the years. And you can take moments throughout the day, maybe for you it's in your stomach or your chest or wherever, but if you start to tune in those moments and take a breath and imagine air going into those areas of your body, you can start to feel it release. And with that, those strong emotions can release out of your body as well. Number two, somatic dance. This is kind of a funny one, and definitely, probably if you want to feel comfortable, there's groups out there that do this, which is great. I only do it alone. I live alone. If you don't live alone, maybe you can find some time alone to do this. It's basically, you've all heard the expression, dance like no one's watching. And this is like, just be a big giant weirdo. I found this is really great for anger and anxiety. Those are very like high vibration or strong vibration, not in a good way, emotions where you can feel it just gripping you. And physical movement in those circumstances can be really amazing. Put on whatever music feeds your soul, something high energy or something like deep and soulful, whatever it is that speaks to you. And just dance. Obviously, don't worry about choreography or whatever move is popular on TikTok or trying to make yourself look good. That's not the point at all. It's just organic movement in your body. Imagine just being as free-flowing as possible and let the music move you. And then it can actually physically get the energy. Imagine a volcano that needs to erupt, but something's on top. And that's your anxiety or your anger building up in you. And this dance just releases the cap, and that energy will explode out of you. And this may sound a little woo-woo to some people, but just try it. And, there's no harm in doing it. And I found in some cases where no amount of meditation or breathing or telling myself to calm down will calm me down, that sort of physical, just wild freedom of expression can help release the energy as well. Number 3, on that note, music. Music is such a powerful tool. For all of the things, stimulus things I sort of don't have in my life, music will always be there. It is such an incredible thing we have created as humans. It's one of the few modern technologies that I passionately subscribe to. Whatever floats your boat, whatever speaks to your soul. It could be 90s alt rock, it could be jazz, it could be, for me, I listen to a lot of cinema scores like Hans Zimmer, or meditation music, or maybe it's techno or dubstep or whatever. Doesn't matter, whatever lifts your heart into a higher state and makes you feel better. Music is an incredibly powerful healing tool. And when you're just really stuck in a space of just extreme emotional pain and spitting out in thoughts, put whatever music elates you on, and that can really, really help change your state. Number 4, another thing on physical movement, just go for a walk. Go for a walk in nature. When you feel yourself starting to spin out and wanting to reach for TikTok and start scrolling, or wanting to zone out and binge on a TV show, or wanting to just go out drinking with friends or drink a bottle of wine at home to try and forget the state you're in, a healthier thing you can do is just go on a walk in nature. Nature is the most incredible healing gift we have. There is so much beauty everywhere. Even if you're in a city, go to a park, there's always some sort of greenery or access to nature that is around us. And just physically moving your body can help get you out of your head as well. If you don't have the gift of being able to walk, maybe if you're in a wheelchair, or any physical activity you can have, and that's, again, a reminder to us, those of us that can walk, it is a gift to be able to walk. So whatever physical activity you have access to, getting yourself to be able to do that when you're in these mental states is a really great tool to get you out of your head and those really stuck emotions as well. Number 5, writing. This has been a very powerful tool for me in healing. When I used to have really, really bad anxiety to the point where it was just extreme crippling panic attacks and stuck in a space of fight or flight where your body is just physiologically shutting down and these thoughts in your head are just horrible and you can't control any of them. What's happening in that state is your fight or flight is activated and logic goes out the window. You can't tell yourself, it's okay, this will pass, or that was a bad day, but tomorrow will get better. Logic's out of your brain in that moment. And some people often even think they're dying or the world is ending because you're just stuck in this, chemical reaction that was designed for really evolutional purposes. If you were getting chased by a tiger back in the day, that kicked in to help you just run and save your life, essentially. But now in the modern stresses of society, these triggers get set off and there's no tiger to run from. So there's no clear endpoint of, okay, I'm safe now. And we get stuck spinning out in these thoughts. And for me, a really helpful tool was writing. I had these like big, almost like school notebook things. So I would just write and write and write in those moments. And the purpose of that is twofold. Number 1, it's to get whatever ugly thoughts are in your head. When you put them out on the paper, it sort of releases them. And again, don't worry about, this is not something you want anyone probably to read. You probably might not even want to go back and read it yourself because some really dark things can come out. Or maybe something really beautiful, maybe some poetry comes out of it, but don't worry about what you're writing, or maybe it's nonsense, or maybe it's one sentence over and over and over and over again because you feel like you just need to get that out of you. It can be really releasing for that negative energy. And then also when you are writing, it does activate the logic center in your brain because it's a technical skill that you have to do. So just the physical act of writing, which is why I recommend pen to paper versus keyboard, that can activate the logic center in your brain and actually shift the focus from the fight or flight center, which is not rooted in logic, and help sort of bring you back to baseline and stop you from spinning out and pull things back into logic where you can start making better decisions and be able to calm yourself down. Number 6, this is the last one. While all of those previous mentioned ones are super helpful, I have found the most helpful and the most challenging, but the most rewarding tactic to being able to get through my emotions is actually taking every single tool away and sitting in complete silence with the emotion for as long as it takes. And let me tell you, this can be brutal. It is when you're in a very painful state, it is really tempting to try and do anything to get out of that painful state. And, humans are wired, all animals are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, right? Because being in pain sucks. But as much as those other tools I mentioned have saved my life, I think it's sort of a progression and stepping stone. First removing all of those distractions away, removing the Facebook, the Twitter, the drinking, the smoking marijuana, which I personally didn't do, but I know a lot of friends that do that to numb out. And when you take all those away and you start facing your emotions, and then it becomes hard, like, shit, this is really, really a tough state to be in. And then so you can start implementing those other tools that I just mentioned. And that's sort of the next layer to mastering the emotion versus running from it. Giving yourself a tool belt to, okay, I'm in incredible pain right now, but I trust myself that I can carry myself through this and not have to rely on an outside pacifier or a distraction that will help me run away from it. This next tier, I would not have been able to get to years and years and years ago. It was a progression through these practices and sort of it's like when you go to a gym, you start out, you have no muscle, you've never been in a gym before, you start with really tiny weights. And then as you get stronger and stronger and stronger, you keep adding more and more and more weight. And while it's harder in the moment with that heavier weight, the reward is you get more muscle, or whether it's, maybe it's a cardio thing you're adding on, or you're training for a marathon. You can run a mile the first week and then you progress through, and after your 6 months or year of your training, you can do that marathon. So this is similar to this. It's emotional strength training. And now I'm at the point where, for example, yesterday, I had a hard day yesterday. I had a really painful emotional situation come up. And when I came home after getting through work, which was difficult, it was tempting to want to sit on YouTube and just scroll through videos, even if they are self-helpy videos like this, trying to help you sort out things. And it was tempting to maybe watch a movie or do something else. But I sat on my couch in silence, not even with music, and just let myself feel it. My friend Donna, she said, I love this quote. She said when she has depression come up or really strong sadness, she sits down and eats it for dinner. And I love this analogy because it's essentially saying, rather than pushing these strong feelings away and saying you're not welcome, inviting it like a guest to dinner and then eating it and consuming it, in that you're being fully present with it. There's an expression, you have to feel it to heal it. And I found that is 100% true. We have to be fully present and feel the depth of the pain that you're going through, even though it can seem so impossible in that moment. It's like a storm or a hurricane or anything that it will come on with such intensity. And when you're not distracting yourself, it will feel so much more intense and so much more impossible and so much more painful, but then it will pass on a deeper level. If there's any Dune fans out there, I'm a huge nerd. There's the litany against fear. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. But then, there's a line towards the end of that and when the fear is gone, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. And where the fear is gone, nothing will remain, or only I will remain. Sorry, I quoted that a little bit wrong. But the point is that when you're in these strong emotions, you can identify with them of, I am this sadness, I am this depression, I am this anger, I am this hurt, but really you're not. You are something beyond that, and the feelings are just there. They're just these transient things in your body, and when you don't look at them, they will hold on. But when you really look at them and see them and stay present with them without all of these other distractions to try and make yourself feel better, you will go through more pain in that moment, but then it will be released and you will feel more free and light and healed on the other end of it. And I don't have exact, psychological science of why that is. This may sound woo-woo to some people or new agey, but this is just my experience with it. And it's in those moments, it really does make you stronger when you're facing intense, extreme anxiety, rather than reaching for a pill or a glass of wine or turning on the news or whatever, to just sit with it and be its friend and hold it like a crying child almost, and just honor, yes, I have this sadness, but I am not this sadness. I like to keep that distinction in mind when these emotions come up, and say, okay, I am incredibly depressed right now, but let's flip that. I have incredible depression right now, but I am not this depression. It can leave. It can move out of me. It's just pain stored in my body that needs to be looked at and held and released. And beyond that, there is my heart space, and there is someone who does not have this depression or sadness or anger or whatever those overwhelming emotions can be. So perhaps that is something you can keep in mind as well. Okay. That is my speech for today. I hope this tool belt can sort of help you as you sort of progress on your journey to letting things go out of your life, such as emotional clutter, in addition to other things you're trying to declutter. And again, remember, it is not a bad thing that you have these emotions. They are just things that need to be looked at, and as you come stronger into your practice, you will find you have the strength to look at them versus run away from them. Okay, that's it for today. Let me know if this helped, and blessings to you on your healing journey. Bye.